Troops, we are back today with another update. Today's date is the 6th of October, Thursday, and there's been loads of progress made both in the east and the south of Ukraine. Troops, my apologies for not getting an update to you guys yesterday. I did the video and my beard yet again pressed pause, so I do think I need to upgrade my mic system so I get a better placement of it. So I apologize for that, but what we're going to do today instead is possibly get two updates out to you guys. All right, so it's going to be done a little bit quicker, just so we can recap, and it's probably better for you guys. Going to try and keep it to around 10 minutes regarding the 4th and the 5th, and then the 5th onwards I'll do in a separate video how we normally do it, and then I might even go live, because I feel as if, you know, there's a lot of guys and girls invested in this channel, invested in the updates, and I'm really sorry that that update didn't get out to you guys yesterday. So anyway, let's just get straight into it. Before we do, smash that like, share and subscribe button. We've got good news, troops. Let's do it. So very quick map study with regards to the 4th. We're going to hit straight up to the east of Ukraine. So to see the developments there, we need to kick back to the 3rd. Now, we were talking about Borova before, and then they took Borova. And then what I was saying should happen, would happen, could happen is they need to bridge that gap along the Oskil River up to the north of Kupiansk. They have done that. All right, on the 4th, that actually happened. That's massive gain for Ukraine to be able to take the east side of the Borova, north side of Borova, and the east side of the Oskil Reservoir is a massive, massive pro for Ukraine, okay? This is hard land to take. It's going to be easy to keep, though, I think. Easier to keep than it was to take. But they've got the momentum now, troops. So really, really good news. I was going to do a little bit more in-depth of a map study with that, but, you know, due to time constraints and stuff and getting these updates out to you and me stupidly pressing the mute button, I wasn't able to do that today. So, liberated, you know, they've got about just over 1,100 square kilometers there. A lot of land that's been taken, and the push forward in the next video is going to be even more significant. We're going to get into that, guys. But that's the north in a very, very round nutshell. We're going to go straight to another map study after we've spoke about what the Institute of Study of War has to say on this matter. So eastern Ukraine, as of the 4th, this is in reference to. Now, Ukrainian forces continue to make gains in eastern Kharkiv Oblast, west of Svato, on October 4th. So big gains there, troops. Geolocated footage shows Ukrainian troops in Boshlavska and Borivska, both within 30 kilometers west of Svato and near the Kharkiv-Luhansk Oblast border. Boshlavika and Borivska is on the left bank of the Oskil River. So we know that they obviously pushed the left-hand side of Oskil River quite a way back, but they've now taken the other side of it on the eastern side of Kupiansk, you could say. Now, these gains, along with other Ukrainian advances on the east bank of the river, have essentially deprived Russian forces of the ability to use the river as a defense line. A Russian military blogger described this inflection by nothing that would have used to Kharkiv's front. The front bound by the line of the Oskil River has now become the Luhansk front, as Ukrainian troops are threatening positions, Russian positions within the Luhansk Oblast itself. So by taking that area, they actually threaten other areas now as a direct result of that, because Russia understands how important strategically the Oskil River was. All right, it's going to be a tough one to overcome this, and not a one I do think they can recoup and be able to push back. There's a massive amount of land being gained here, and certainly the neighbouring settlements are massively at risk. I do think that's a day-by-day thing, what we're going to see, these settlements taking over, troops. So massive gains there, all because of Lyman. It just shows how important Lyman was to be taken. All right, that all started the momentum push north, a little bit of a push south from Kupiansk. They held on to Kupiansk more strategically, and they defended that area hard, because Kupiansk was the key to the north of the Oskil River. Lyman was the key to the south of that Oskil Reservoir, although it was a significant distance from the bottom tip of that river. Still very, very strategic in its value, because it was a logistical hub. All right, it had loads of networks, it had rail networks, roads, supply routes, everything to supply the frontline troops. Without that, Russia fails to supply itself. They go walkies into the eastward direction. Okay, so Luhansk, Ukraine is coming for that, and I think they're coming very, very soon. We're going to see just as quick a pace taken in the next few weeks as we originally saw in the beginning of this counteroffensive last month, guys. So that's what's going in the first part. Now, Russian sources continue to discuss Ukrainian advances towards Svato and noted that while Russian troops still control the R66, which is a highway, so key strategic positions and points on the map, which Russian military bloggers regard as critical Russian ground line of communication, or GLOC for short. Ukrainian reconnaissance groups are operating along the road to set conditions for future attacks towards Svato. So reconnaissance guys are out there doing their thing, getting information on the ground and relaying that information back to the frontline troops, the infanteers, the mechanized infanteers, the tanks, the light armored vehicles, to be able to push on through and effectively, sabotage their movement via ambushes. Ambushes are really, really effective if the enemy doesn't know where you are, and effective reconnaissance is a must on that one. Don't underestimate the power of regular guerrilla-style ambushes. They can really, really deprive and hinder the movement of any military on the ground if done correctly. Fantastic that Ukraine is really keeping up this momentum, guys. It really is. Now, a Russian source reported that firing is ongoing in Krasnoyarsk, a settlement near the R66, and between Svato and Kremenia. The Russian military blogger claimed that elements of the Russian 1st Guards Tank Army and elements of the 144th Guards Motor Rifle Division on the 20th Combined Arms Army are preparing to defend Svato. Now, we've seen a lot and heard a lot about these tank guard army groups. They're supposed to be, some of the best soldiers Russia has to offer, and we've seen how ineffective they've been on the whole of this war, not just in parts. On the whole of this war, we've seen them desert positions. We've seen them acting mega unprofessional. Certainly not that of a basic infantry or armored group any military would see. These guys aren't acting like that at all. Never mind being regarded as their top tier guys. All right, they're not showing it. So Ukraine's doing a good job to counteract that. They're not really showing too much of a problem with Ukraine because their advances continue, guys. It's really good to see. But Svato is an area which they say they're going to defend and try to defend. When we look at it on the map here, you can see why. All right, geographically, it's quite a built-up area. It's almost a similar stature to Lehman in size. Built up. There's, features there. There's different types of ground, wood blocks, fields, but it's quite heavily populated with road systems. It might have the odd rail system going through there. It's certainly got a main supply route in terms of the roads here. So Svato is strategically valuable. But, are they going to just keep on passing to village next to village? I mean, if you look at Lehman, all right, is that where they went from Lehman? We did see a corridor to the northeast of that, so maybe they've pushed there, try to defend it. There's no point trying to defend these places if you're just going to desert and not really put up a great fight. This area in particular, all right, is next, I think. But we'll see in a future update, guys. This is going to be relatively easy, I think, for Ukraine to take the neighbouring settlements. Once they take the settlements, Russia's going to see them coming. This is going to be, I don't want to see easy work because war fighting isn't easy work, but it all pinpoints to one position, and that's to take Svato, guys. I think they're going to be effective in taking that if they can take, with pace, these neighbouring settlements. So a lot going on there, troops, in regards to that. But you've heard my opinion on the Guards tank army elements. I don't mean any disrespect. I don't think there's been as effective as they would like to have been. But that's just my opinion. Now, an ISW has previously reported these units and formations were severely degraded during the Kharkiv counteroffensive and are unlikely to establish a stable defense of these critical areas if Ukrainian forces press their attacks. Russian sources will likely continue to reinforce their positions along the R66 highway in anticipation of further Ukrainian attacks. They're going to try and heavily defend these highways, but if the reconnaissance teams are doing what they are currently doing, which is very good work, they're going to enable their infanteers and their frontline troops to be able to capitalize on the information, the whereabouts of Russian troops, absolutely hammer it home with ambushes, guerrilla-style tactics, taking out real strategic, valuable troops from the ground and rendering them useless for future operations. So if that continues in these main routes, I think we're going to see a lot more traction from the east of Ukraine. But let's get into the south, troops. What's going on in the south? Well, as of the 4th, we've got a lot going on in the south. Let's go to east of Kerson, or Herzen, is it? I don't know how you pronounce it properly, guys. I think you don't pronounce the K. Herzen, yeah. So northeast, we've seen massive gains there, troops. If we go back to the 3rd, we can see that, that's when the whole thing started. They pushed through straight away along the coastline of this riverbed here, and taking these little settlements along the way. Now, they are quite built-up areas along here. Not as built up as some of the areas in the north, but in terms of the pace, we are seeing a lot of pace, guys, down here. If they can take this part, they take out supply routes as well. And most of the bridges down here, I believe, are destroyed. So if they continue to push that way, you're going to effectively leave Russia with nowhere to go along here. I believe these bridges, unless my information is wrong, are rendered useless. So unless Russia has a get out plan, a get out clause, I don't see where they're going to go from these points here. I don't think they're going to continue south unless they've got an escape plan. But if you know any more on that, guys, I'd appreciate the information from you direct. Just drop a comment below. But I envision they're going to continue down here, continue on the north side, taking this part here, taking key areas of interest, because you can see the road systems are directly dependent on these for resupply. So I think what we're going to see is, they're going to aim for this area, they're going to aim for this area, aim for this area last. But it's going to be quite a fight, and I do think it's going to be harder than what we're seeing in the east to take. But momentum is certainly key. But let's get straight into South Ukraine, Kherson Oblast, what the Institute of Study of War has to say. Now, Ukrainian forces continued to make substantial gains in northern Kherson Oblast on October 4th. Geolocated footage shows Ukrainian troops in Velka and other areas surrounding that area, all in northwestern Kherson Oblast, within 20 kilometers south of the Dnipro Oblast border. Russian sources acknowledged that Ukrainian forces have also captured at least half of Duncheny. This is... well, let's have a look at this, why it's important. Duncheny is just up here, north of my love. Duncheny, I think it's pronounced. So apparently that's already been taken as well. Let's have a look at this. Quite a prominent area. Now, there's a big river system cutting into the country there. So I'd imagine there's some form of trade happening there, some form of resupply, factories potentially, I'm not too sure, but there's certainly stuff happening. My main area of interest is this here. Is this bridge actually operational? That obviously is quite a key point along this riverbed. I'm not too sure if that is actually operational at the moment, but there's one thing for sure. In terms of distance, we're looking at, let's see if this works. No, it's not working. Come on, bang. Hey, not working. How far is this? Right, so we're looking at, it's only about 3 kilometers that cuts in. It can cut along this way, and then they're back onto this main route, and then pushing on down. So, yeah, they've took half of that allegedly on the 4th, so, that's good news for them. Quite a prominent position to be able to take, and then just continue down in the same direction. Literally, as this road goes, is the direction in which I'm thinking they're going to keep on pushing, taking all the settlements along the way until they eventually get to the main area of Kherson. So I think we're going to see a similar movement all the way down here, all the way down this way, taking my love back. But my love, what a name for a place, eh? But let's get back to this anyway. Duncheny, yeah, a critical settlement in northeastern Kherson Oblast that lies along the T040 highway, which runs along the west bank of the Dnipro River in the Berslav Nova area. Several Russian sources indicated that Russian troops are withdrawing southwards towards Berslav and regrouping in the area of my love. What a name, man. 15 kilometers south of Duncheny, and the northeastern sector of the Russian line in Kherson Oblast is collapsing along the Kaflak Reservoir. One Russian source actually reported that Ukrainian forces captured Kachkryvka less than 9 kilometers from my love. So it looks as if they're actually pushing towards my love quicker than I actually anticipated. Certainly quicker than this map anticipates anyway. Now, the Ukrainian 35th Marine Brigade liberated Davdiv Brid in western Kherson Oblast and established Ukrainian positions on the east left bank of the Inuits River on the right bank of the Kakhovka Reservoir, which feeds the Dnipro River. will enable Ukrainian forces to essentially squeeze Russian troops up against the Dnipro River to the east and force them southwards back to Kherson city. This is something that I'm actually quite interested in. So if they're forcing them down to Kherson city, what's the aim of that if there's no real alleged routes out? Look at this. Look at this built-up area here. Let's have a look. So we've got what looks like a potential bridge system that should be there. One near Antnivka, and potentially, I'm not seeing anything down here, but there could be one round there near Roznok Island. Either way, there's a few routes out of Kherson if the bridges exist. Now, this is quite a prominent bit of land here. You know, where these bridge systems are, how wide is this? Let's measure this up now. We're looking about 329 meters. So it's you don't really want to be warfighting and then having to swim that if them bridges are disabled. As I'm looking down here, there could be other areas of interest, but this land will be quite boggy, troops. Okay, this land will be hard, arduous, horrible to go. It certainly looks like it's undulating terrain the further south towards the seabed as you get. So you don't want to be fighting there last minute and then swimming, trying to get over here to Olenski. You know, that's not going to be a good day for anyone. So my thoughts are, you know, once Ukraine is pushing towards this, I think we're going to see a similar thing to what happened in Lyman. Maybe they're going to leave them a bit of a route out, potentially, to get out there. But you can't get out west near Mykolaiv. I don't know how this is going to go. Honestly, I don't know how this is going to go. Time will tell, guys. Time will tell. Interesting times, to say the least. Really positive for Ukraine. But the Ukrainian General Staff noted that Russian troops attacked Ternovi Pori, 20 kilometers northwest of Kherson city, which is really, really close, likely to expand Russian control northwest of Kherson city and afford Russian troops more defensible positions around the city as their elements withdraw from the north. Agreed with that, but we've seen in Lyman, you know, those defensive positions didn't last long until they were, you know, effectively deserted or fought out, you know. Russian military bloggers provide insight into the sparse allocation of Russian forces that are collapsing under Ukrainian advances in northern Kherson Oblast. A Russian source claimed on October the 4th that elements of the 126th Coastal Defence Brigade of the Black Sea Fleet have operated in the area without rotation since March, and that the front line is stretched so thin that some villages in the sector have 15 men defending them. And we want to know why these places are getting taken over quick time, these settlements. That's your reason there. 15 men is probably less in some areas as well, you know. The military blogger claimed that a front line of 20 kilometers needs 2 battalions of 500 men to defend approximately 20 meters per person, and that. Due to the understaffing in battalions in North Kherson Oblast, the ratio was 1 soldier to 60 meters. Wow. So it's a third of what it should be. That's terrible. The description of a thin and undermanned front line, along with effective Ukrainian offensive operations, partially explains the rapid rate of Russian collapse in this sector. It certainly does. Rapid rate. We were wondering why in the counteroffensive to begin with, up the north, were they taking over so much land? Look, within the space of the month, they've liberated nearly 8,000 square kilometers of land. That's phenomenal, guys. And, you know, they're up against a conventional fighting force as well. And the momentum keeps on going. It's a mixture of two things: understaffed, underprepared, underprofessional fighters with guys who really, really are motivated and prepared and willing to fight. That's a bad mix, guys. Someone's losing, and it ain't Ukraine in terms of their numbers, right? We need to get that right. Yes, Russia have been heavily reliant on artillery and stuff like that at the beginning of the war. They can devastate most places, but when it comes to the tactical advances, using their men correctly on the ground, they don't really do a good job, guys. And we're seeing that now, all right? It can't be lied upon. That map tells us everything we need to hear. But yeah, now it's, you know, the undermanning's one thing, but there's other reasons to that as well. Now, Ukrainian forces additionally continued the interdiction campaign in Kherson Oblast to support ongoing ground operations. Ukrainian military sources reported that Ukrainian troops targeted Russian military logistics and transportation assets and concentration areas on October the 3rd and 4th. So we understand taking out logistics is key. Now, you can only do that with effective reconnaissance. Effective reconnaissance has been taking place, and they've been capitalizing on that with their other units in the military. So it's working. Simple, effective stuff. It's working. Russian sources reported that Ukrainian troops once again struck the Ansvsky Bridge in Kherson city. So, loads going on there, guys. I apologize if I've rambled through that pretty quick. We had to be. We want to get a couple of updates out. Hopefully, you guys appreciate this. And again, please accept my apologies for not getting this update out yesterday. Yeah, it nearly killed me doing a 30-minute video and then realizing it was on mute when I uploaded it seconds before releasing it. So, yeah, every video counts on this. So I'm apologetic with that. So hopefully you can appreciate this video and the video that's probably is going to come out just after this one. Guys, wherever you are today, thanks for tuning in. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. Share this video far and wide on your Discords. Share it in your groups, Facebook, wherever you're affiliated with, whatever social media you live on. Please share this content. That's how we grow, guys. If you want to become a member, press the join button. If you don't, just press that like. Other than that, guys, thank you for all the support, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.